What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We're here at the Pride. It's 9:30. There's nobody here, and I thought, why not film a video? Because a lot of people have been asking me about different things that I specifically do with, like, the deadlift specifically. So that's what this video is about. A little bit different than usual. It's a bit of an instructional video of how to perform the conventional, and I'm also going to be going over the sumo deadlift, how I was taught to do things, and a lot of the cues that I was taught that helped me a lot in my growth. A little bit of backstory from me, some credibility. I hold over 13 state records in 2 different states, Utah and Iowa. I hold records in USAPL, USPA, and AAPF. I am currently going for some equipped world records and IPL, USPA IPL. So we'll see how those go. But specifically here, I'm going to teach you what I do in my setup and how to properly actually execute the deadlift, so you don't look like one of those dumb high schoolers in the football weight room where you're going to destroy your spine and your bones and just everything else. Okay, so we're going to start with conventional. First of all, before we start with any of the pulls, I am starting from a normal height of the bar. These are Olympic plates. They're 10 kilograms, 20 pounds, 22 pounds to be exact. That's about the same height as a 45-pound plate, 135 on a simple deadlift bar. If you cannot lift a plate, I highly suggest you either get mats or blocks or something to put it at a height close to this. It is not the easiest thing to stay in position while learning the deadlift when you're literally picking it up from your toes, if that makes sense. So we're gonna start right off. The first thing you're gonna do is, if you're like me, be OCD and have the bar all wonky and have to fix it every time you walk up to the platform. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna walk straight up to the bar, and you're gonna put your feet about shoulder width apart to start out with. Obviously later you can play with this and learn where your foot positioning is, but obviously everybody's different. For right now, start with a simple shoulder width apart for conventional deadlift. We're gonna walk up. You're gonna basically put the bar right over the top of the lacing of your shoes, where you tie your pretty little bow, your pretty little rabbit under the log, or whatever you want to say. That's where you're going to put your feet. Then you're going to bend your knees until your shins touch the barbell. So as you can see, I'm about here, right? Now you're going to bend over, keeping your chest nice and tall, and you're going to grab onto the bar, if that makes sense. You can go cross grip. To start off with, I always just grab right here, double overhand. You're gonna start there, and from that point, you're gonna think about driving your chin and your chest back into the ceiling. So you're gonna sit back a little bit. So here's what it's gonna look like. You're sitting here, your toes nice and close, squat down to the bar, now then bend over and grab the bar. My elbows are outside of my knees. I'm gonna grab onto the bar. I'm gonna put my chest up, and I'm gonna sit back and drive it straight up. You don't need to shrug, you don't need to lock it out and overextend. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna show you a view from the side and kind of what's going on up front. Again, from a side angle, you'll see flat back. We don't wanna curl when we're lifting. This is bad for the spine. We wanna stay nice and neutral, and we don't wanna curl our neck on the way up or duck or stare directly at the floor. Think about a line going from the top of your head down to your toes, and keep that as straight as you can. Obviously, different people have different appendages and lengths. There might be a little bit of a shift in the shoulders depending on who you are, but for the most part, you want to worry about your lower back close to your upper back. If that is curling, go down and wait and start over, if that makes sense. Here's what we're going to do. Step up to the bar. Shoelaces under the barbell when you're looking straight down. Set everything nice and tight. Squat down to the bar. Now bend over and grab the bar. Outside, lock your lats in. drive up. Now, little tricks to make it even more refined. Think about when you grab onto the bar, think about taking your elbows and digging them into your armpits. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna bend the bar and put all this pressure in your lats to keep a nice solid back. So look at the difference. Here, 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 here. When I'm digging my lats in, I'm stronger and I can handle a better load, if that makes sense. Now, we're gonna go over little tiny cues to refine that. That is the basic technique of deadlift. That is simply grabbing the bar and standing up, if that makes sense. Now we're gonna go into specifics similar to the arm tuck, locking the lats, so we can make this more of an efficient movement. Now, the first thing I wanna say about deadlift period, sumo, conventional, anything you're doing, never, ever, ever rush it. Always take your time learning the technique and learning your strength. Do not push yourself to the point where you're gonna be hurt. I have had athletes, and I have had myself, hurt things, damage sciatics, pinch nerves, different things along those lines, where I push myself to my limits without refining the basic movements first. I've done this myself. I've had tons of people I've worked with do this themselves as well. You need to realize that the deadlift is not something you're ever going to have to rush. It is going to come with time. Stay with weights that you're comfortable working with and you can handle. As soon as it starts to feel even remotely like you're buckling or you can't keep a neutral position, you're losing the bar away from you along those lines, go down and weight. Over time, your weight is going to slowly just increase, which causes you to be stronger in the actual movement. Do not test your 1 rep max every day or every week. It is just gonna get you hurt. I promise, take it from me, take it from somebody that's been in this sport for over 5 years. I started lifting when I was literally 12. And I had to go through all of this myself. Take it from me, save yourself the pain and the injuries, and just do it the right way. Take your time, learn what you're doing. Now specifically, here's what we're going to want to think about with the conventional deadlift. Like we said, we're going to grab onto that bar, and we grab on down here, and we're going to pull down on that said bar so our lats lock in. What we're going to want to do after that is set our hips and our knees. When I step up to the bar, say the bar's right here, it's obviously in front of me, I'm going to set my toes underneath the said bar, and I'm going to think about digging my feet and my heels and my toes and everything into the ground and driving outward. So what you're going to see here, you're going to watch my knees. You're going to watch, as I do that, you're going to watch my knees kind of come out and my hips and my quads all start to get tight and flex. As you're getting tighter in the deadlift, you're going to be able to move more weight. That's why powerlifters, and all of us say, powerlifter myself, get tight, get as tight as you can, because the tighter you are, the more weight you're going to move more efficiently, regardless if it's lightweight or heavyweight. You need to get as tight as possible every time. So here's what we're going to want to do. We're going to dig our feet in that same way. You're going to get your feet set. A lot of us like to set one foot and then set the other. That's what I do when I'm pulling conventional. And I'm going to grab onto that bar, and my knees are going to dig in and come out the same way as my elbows, and I'm going to dig everything in, and I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to demonstrate. So, foot, lock in, foot, lock in, dig out, dig my feet in, push down, come down to the bar, grab onto the bar, lock my lats, drive up, hips to the bar, chest up. I'm going to demonstrate what the movement should look like in one swoop, if that makes sense. Do not rush this if you're not ready for this. Take each step as slow as you can. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you're tight. Make sure you're nice and solid. And I'm going to go through this as I would to pull something heavy or for reps or whatever. Okay, some common mistakes that you'll see a lot with the conventional deadlift, because I know that these are going to be questions, oh, well, what if I'm doing this? What if this is happening in my body? Take it slow, obviously, go through the steps, but right now I'm going to demonstrate a couple of things that I often see in the gym that we're going to try to do. I'm going to do my best to replicate and tell you what's going on, therefore you can fix it yourself and keep yourself away from injuries, and so you can pull more weight. Okay, so the first thing I want to demonstrate is the hip shoot you'll see very, very often when it comes down to pulling conventional. We'll get all set up, we'll grab onto this bar, and then they'll pick up their hips. When you pick up your hips like that, the bar comes away from you. The farther the bar comes away from the center line of your body, the harder the lift is going to be and the more likely you're going to either miss or hurt yourself. So, here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to grab onto that bar, get as tight as you can in the lats, and sit back. Not let it roll forward on your toes. The weight is going to be in the back of your heels. A cue that I often teach my athletes. Grab onto that ground and pick the tip of your toes up, so therefore you will sit back. The weight is going to keep you from falling backwards. So, I'll show you the fix. Here's the bad way. Grab on. See, my legs are locked, but my back is still the fulcrum here. I'm going to pull my back down. Now we're going to do it the right way. Grab on. Lock the lats. Sit back. Another big one, your grip slipping. Grab onto that bar. When you're grabbing on, you're pulling, and it slides out of your hands. A big thing with that, you have a couple of options here. I highly suggest, with these options, you pick the ones that don't require the strapping up that you'll see you can buy. Those are helpful and they are made for a reason. However, we want to build your grip strength and we want to build your actual ability to hold onto a bar and get those big juicy forearms. So here's what we're going to do. You have 3 different grips. The first grip, the most weak grip usually, is just straight up double overhand. Double overhand, nothing else. You're going to grab onto that bar, and as it rolls, as you grab on, as you get weaker and it rolls out of your hands, you're going to see it just keeps going and slides all the way out. Your next option, cross grip. This is what I use when I pull conventional. What this does is allows you to grab on and the bar can't roll in 2 different directions. So therefore, you can keep a good hold of it. The main thing with this specifically, you're going to want to dig the bar as deep into your palm as possible. You'll notice a lot of us at the Pride and a lot of us lifters in general, apologize for my hair, we'll dig our hands so deep into the bar. We'll grab on and we'll keep grabbing more and more skin. We'll just keep going before we even start the pull. What this does is this puts the bar in a fulcrum position in your hand to make it so it's not going to roll, slip, or anything along those lines. Your last option without straps is hook grip. Personally, when I would compete raw sumo, when I would pull sumo raw, I would use hook grip because I didn't want my hand rubbing up against my thighs. So, for example, I'm going to be pulling sumo while I show you this grip. What the basic concept is, you're grabbing around the bar and you're grabbing onto your thumbs, so it basically puts a knot right there where you're grabbing. So, say I get set up for sumo, I grab onto the bar, I'm going to wrap my middle fingers around and grab on just like this. Now, mind you, you don't want to dig in and just start pulling. It's going to hurt really bad, I promise. You're going to notice this. You're almost going to want to see the front of your fingers. It's still going to hurt. Hook grip is bad. Hook is not bad. Hook grip is really difficult. It hurts a lot. However, what this does is allows you to keep everything steady so when you pull, it stays in your hand. Notice you'll be able to see the front of my fingers. If you can't see the front of your fingers while you're pulling hook grip, you're doing it wrong and you're doing it inefficiently. Okay, so I don't know why I'm bent over like this. Okay, so that's conventional. We're going to quickly go over sumo and the same concept. things you can work on to get better at sumo, and the things that you'll notice while you're doing sumo, the things that you might be doing wrong. So, same as before, walk up to the bar. You're gonna put your laces underneath the bar, but instead of having them very close together, shoulder width apart, you're gonna point your toes to the very edge, front edge of the plates, where you're gonna go wide. What I do is I find a place on the bar to go every single time. I sit my feet about here every single time. Same concept. Grab onto the floor and dig in. That doesn't change. Same with the lats. Grab onto the bar and dig in. And basically what you're gonna do to help you learn sumo, it's not bending over, because everybody does this. That's just a wide conventional. That's not doing anything for you. That's not what sumo is. Sumo is a very hip and wedge-driven movement. So, basically what's gonna happen is you're gonna come down and you're gonna keep pushing your knees out. Think about open, like curving your arms out and literally just sitting, knees out. And just sit. Keep going all the way down to the bar. This is the position you're gonna be starting. So, when I grab onto the bar, I grab onto a very even point on both sides, so I'm nice and even. Keep my hips nice and open. And instead of pulling like this and letting the weight go all the way to my toes, I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna drive my hips directly under into the bar, get my chest as upright as possible and stand straight up. Think about a wall on both sides of you, squeezing you together, and you have to stay in that plane. You can't come forward or back. This is the biggest thing with sumo. As soon as the bar gets away from you, lifts over. I promise. In sumo, you do not have near the same stability you do in conventional. So, if you think about it along the lines of stability and how much weight you can handle, this is a very hip-driven and leg-driven movement, versus the other one is a very posterior chain, glute and back-driven movement. This one specifically is gonna need a lot of technique of keeping that bar as close to you, digging the crap out of your shins and knees, all the way up the entire time so it stays in that same path. As soon as that bar comes away, it's gonna come over your toes, your hips are gonna shoot, same thing conventional, and you're just gonna dump it. So, what's gonna happen, bend my knees, keep going down, keep going down, keep going down, grab onto the bar, and sit my hips in. See how upright I was? To start off, just simply learning, grab onto the bar, and keep digging your hips under. You should be able to literally be torso straight up. Some people don't have the mobility to do sumo because it's such of an issue to be actually move around and use it. So, however, a lot of people that use sumo have a very good advantage because the range of motion is shorter, but it is a much of a harder position to keep and stay in while you're pulling. So, again, I'm gonna pull again. Grab on, dig your feet in, dig your lats in. Keep it nice and close to your body. Your hips should literally, think about wedging yourself all the way up and through. Literally drag that bar up your knees. All right, here's the side view. You'll be able to notice the bar goes straight up in the same direction the whole time, in the same plane. If it comes away from me, or back in any way, it's gonna shift my balance and it's gonna mess my movement up. So again, set everything nice and set up. Set everything right. Set up nicely. Lock those lats in. I personally like to lock my glutes and my lats and dig into the floor before I even touch the bar. Lock everything nice and set in. Like I said, keep everything nice and tall. You'll notice I'm not shifting like this to come down to the bar, because this is wrong. You're gonna keep everything nice and centered. Your knees are gonna want this is what's gonna come out. You're not gonna bend over. So, I'm gonna come over here, come down, grab onto the bar, lock my lats in, and drive my hips literally up that direction. Some common mistakes with sumo. It really comes down to where the bar sits and where the path of movement is. You'll actually notice Most people that miss a lift is either grip or they let the bar get away from them. So, watch what happens with this really light weight for me. What happens when I let the bar get away from me? Let's say I set up badly. Say I'm coming down and I start to bend over. I grab onto the bar and I kind of pull, look at the position I'm in and look where the bar is trying to travel. Already that's pulling me on my toes and pulling me forward. It's going to make me miss my lift. So, what we're going to want to do is the same as conventional, sit back, stay in your hips, stay in your legs, stay on your heels, pick the very, very tips of your toes up. If that's a cue that works for you, works for me really well. And make sure you're nice and aligned. As soon as it comes forward, you're going to lose the lift every time. Again, we're not coming here, we're coming here, and we're not picking like this, we're picking like this. Good. Bad. Good. All right. As you can tell with the deadlift, it is not a simple movement. It takes a lot of technique, both sumo and conventional, and they're both hard in their equal ways. A lot of people argue that conventional is easier, or conventional's better, or sumo's cheating, sumo's easier, the range of motion's smaller. But when it comes down to it, they're both deadlifts, and they really are two different movements. So, comparing them together like that is kind of comparing a banana to an orange. Like, they're both fruit, but they're not the same. They're different movements, they work different things. They work similar things. However, the actual ability to move weight from the floor to the top of your hips, bottom of your hips, whatever it sits on you. Another big thing, do not bend your arms at all when you're deadlifting. They'll pop a bicep right off. Should have said that earlier. Anyway, but basically, the deadlift is not easy and it takes a lot of time. As I said earlier, and I cannot stress this enough, do not, under any circumstances, rush it. Do not try to push yourself along the limits that you can. I get it, meet day, but that's after you've learned it, you've practiced it over months. Meet day is a different story. Meet day, go in, pull what you can. However, when you're in the gym, don't be dumb. Live and stay healthy. Lift correctly. Don't ego lift. Don't push yourself to the point of breaking. And make sure that when it comes down to it, you know your technique and what feels good to you. Everybody's different. Everybody's positioning is always going to be a little bit different. However, this video is the basic baseline of how to do each movement, if that makes sense. So, now that you know how to pull sumo and you know how to pull conventional, what we're going to do now is, in a later video, I'm going to show you, I'm going to go over two different videos of what actually you can do to build those, either and both of those. But I will say this specifically before anything else. You should pull both. You should be able to pull both, and you should consistently pull both. Sumo is one of the best accessories for conventional deadlifts. Conventional deadlifts are some of the best accessories for sumo deadlifts. You can see the carryover. They're both deadlifts. They're both going to help you in different positions. So, if you can do both correctly and both in a very good manner, it's just going to benefit you all the way around. But anyway, that's going to wrap up the video. I really appreciate you guys watching and hoping to understand everything. Leave a comment if you think I missed anything specifically. And obviously, subscribe if you enjoy the channel. We're going to keep making videos like this. I'm going to be in here a lot more lately. I took a little bit of a break for a little while, school stuff and all that, but I'm back. We're gonna be making videos, and we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have a good time. So stay tuned. We're gonna make some videos about how to build different movements. I'm gonna be going over the squat and the bench, and in multiple different ways to squat and bench, and what I do specifically. So stay tuned for those. Other than that, I hope you guys have an amazing night. I gotta go home, get some good food. Too much information. Anyway, you guys have a good night. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.